Hey guys, this is going to be video 4 in my series of repainting my 365. Obviously I did pick a color here, which is gloss white. I figured I'd go with that. It's the most common repaint color, and I think it looks very good painted in this color. So let's get started. Now, over here, I already painted these all gloss, and that one is in the first coat of primer, and there is a reason for that, and I will get into that. Before I get into that, let's talk about the paint. Now, the paint is all a personal preference of what type of paint you would like to use. I like using the Rust-Oleum brand, and the product line is obviously Stops Rust for a couple of reasons. One, my paint technique is something that I've perfected over the years of painting models. It's much different painting a model than it is doing something, so to say, full-sized. They're very small, and the paint is very easy to cover up a lot of detail on a model. And some models, when you take the paint, when you strip the paint off, you will see a lot of detail that you don't see because it's simply painted over. So to me, the paint either makes or breaks the model, and I'll get into that more in the video. But me personally, I like using this brand and this product line. Now, if you're not familiar with this, I suggest using Krylon because it is very thin paint. This paint right here is extremely thick, and it's very hard to use on a model, at least. That's what I found. The primer, I usually do 3 to 4 coats, and the gloss is 2 to 3 at most, because like I said, it covers up detail very easily. It's very thick paint. But again, it's all a personal preference, and it all depends on how you paint. Now, this piece obviously is primed. I don't like the way that it was coming out. As you could see over here, I'm not sure if you're able to see. This lens isn't that good for this, but you could kind of see there's still Norscot paint in the sections of the catwalk. So I'm going to strip that out. I'm not going to paint over that. That's just going to be bad to do. But again, this was the first coat of primer. On this, I would do probably 3 coats, so it would take 2 more coats of primer, very lightly in a sweeping motion. But again, it's all a personal preference on how you paint. Now these over here obviously have the gloss on them, and you can make that out. You can even see the shine in it. You can see no detail is covered up completely with paint, meaning the paint isn't too thick anywhere. And I try to pride myself in that throughout painting. You can see it's very nice and glossy. Now I don't mean to brag or anything, but I do find my paint to be very good. Obviously I have my good and my bad days, but it's something that out of everything I've practiced the hardest to do over the past couple of years, because to me the paint will either make or break the model. I say that because, one, if you don't strip the model down, the paint is going to be very thick, and I just don't like that. 2, even if you strip the model down, you can get very bad texture of paint. The biggest problem is that it orange peels. And the second biggest problem is if you paint in high humidity, the gloss gets sucked right out of it. Which is why I've been waiting so long to paint this model, is because it's been raining and the humidity's been high. Now, me personally, with my painting, or at least the way that I paint, maybe it's just me, I find when I paint in the cold weather, the paint comes out much nicer. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's the time that I wait between coats. Again, I'm not really sure, but to me, in the cold weather, the paint comes much nicer. But again, maybe it's just something with my paint techniques. Now, all these parts, besides this one, are going to just stay white. There's nothing that needs to be have a different color on it with masking tape, where you tape it up and do everything like that. This one obviously does, but I cannot handle this part as it's wet. But there is one down here, which is the cab. If you're familiar with this model, this stays white over here, and then this is going to get black. Part of the back of the cab gets black over here. Now, I find it easier to spray it all white, then tape up the white to do the black. Now the way that I do that is I don't try to, you know, not use a lot of white where there's not going to be any black or anything. The whole thing is going to get white 100% as if it was all going to stay white. The next step is to take blue masking tape and mask up the entire cab. Then take an X-Acto knife and cut out the lines where the white would end. Now once you take that out and peel it off, the only white showing would be obviously what's going to be black. Now the best trick I've done, and that this does not affect the paint, is obviously get all the tape nice and, you know what I mean, nice and on there so nothing drips through. The next thing before you put your color on is to clear coat it so it seals the tape to the actual product or the part that you're doing so nothing seeps under there. Now, if you're painting black, there's no need to use any primer, as crazy as that sounds. I know it sounds like something that you probably are not going to do, but trust me, I do not use any gray or white primer when I paint black. Black is a very strong color and it does not need it. All the primer does is add another coat of paint, which you do not need. I was going to show me doing this, but it's pretty much self-explanatory. So what I'm going to do now is paint all this. I'm going to let these dry for a day or two. Like I said, this paint is pretty thick. So I want to let it fully dry and fully cure before I handle it. And then I'm going to put it together. I'll show me putting it back together. And applying the decals and then showcasing it at the end. So there's not really much left to do with this. I wanted to show me filming actually spraying it, but the overspray would have got on the camera and everything. It was a little bit too risky. But this video pretty much sums it all up. Another trick, if the paint is real thick, or if you store it in your basement where it's cold, fill your sink up with hot water and just dunk the can in there, leave it in there for a minute or two. It'll thin the paint up. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any more questions, let me know. Really happy on how the paint is coming out on this, to be honest with you. This is the first thing I've painted in probably 3 years, and it's just as good as when I left off. Anyway guys, if you have any more questions, let me know. And until video 5, that's really it, so take care.